Hello and welcome to my watch list for the midfielders. Second part of the Premier League season, game week 17 onwards. We'll be looking at some interesting options and some not so interesting options. So let's start off with Kevin De Bruyne. 12.6 million, absolutely brilliant. I watched the cup game against Liverpool. He was incredible. He's just amazing. He's a great asset. Maybe not quite the goal threat we would like. Maybe not quite the goal threat of the likes of Mo Salah. But he just brings in. He racks up the points. He creates so many chances. He's a bonus points magnet. He's an assist machine. He has a almost telepathic understanding with Erling Haaland. Just a great option, especially considering he has a double game week in game week 20. So yeah, the only reason I would not go for Kevin De Bruyne is if I opted for Phil Foden. And currently my plan is to just get the best assets from the best teams, and Kevin De Bruyne is the best midfielder for Manchester City and second best asset ahead of Cancelo in my opinion, and of course behind Haaland for Man City. So yeah, De Bruyne, top tier, almost dare I say essential. Next up is Salah. So Mo Salah, even after such a disappointing first part of the season, he's just 8 points behind KDB. He's a machine. We all know how good he is from previous seasons. Yes, this season has been disappointing for both him and Liverpool, but maybe Klopp can turn it. If anybody can turn it around, it's Jurgen Klopp. So the fixtures are not that great, but he's still a good option. Bruno Fernandes. Now, I know what you're thinking. He's too expensive. He has just 2 goals, 2 assists this season, I believe. But he had an excellent World Cup. He was absolutely amazing. And with Cristiano Ronaldo now gone from Manchester United, he's on penalties also. He's on free kicks. He's the main guy. He's the talisman of Manchester United. Everything they do goes through him. So I expect him to have a better second part of the season than the first. But it's not even about that. We just need him for these 3 games. Nottingham Forest at home, Wolves away, and Bournemouth at home. Amazing games. I mean, 9.8 million is a lot. He is expensive, especially with the plethora of mid-price midfielders we have this season, but I would take a punt on Fernandes. Because if you're like me and you're chasing your mini leagues, you need to maximize the individual game weeks where a haul is possible. So for example, exactly this. Nottingham Forest at home against a big team. It could end up 4 or 5 nil. It probably won't, but you want to maximize your chances for these types of hauls. That's why Fernandes, in my opinion, is a great option. Next up, Heung-min Son. Spurs have been disappointing this season. Son, shocking, absolutely shocking. Only has 4 goals, and that's 3 of those goals is a hat trick when he came off the bench against Leicester, I believe. Just get Harry Kane. If you want Spurs coverage, just get Harry Kane. We're on a wild card. You can do whatever you want. You don't need to think about taking a hit to replace a midfielder for a forward or stuff like that. Just get Kane if you want Spurs attack. The double up is a no. Definitely a no. Even though they do have the double game week in 20, and of course he'll score against both Arsenal and Man City now that I've slated him, even though he is one of my favorite players, but no, not this season, unfortunately, and not right now. Next up is Raheem Sterling. So, on paper, amazing. He's has loads of goals in the Premier League. He plays Bournemouth, Forest, and the double game week in the next 3. He's a finisher. He's a direct player. Everything we love about an FPL asset, but in practice, he is not a good option. Why? The rotation. And just Graham Potter's system. They split the goals. They split the goals too much amongst all the players. You never know who's going to score. You never know if Sterling is going to play. You never know which position he's going to play. There are just too many unknowns. Next up is Bukayo Saka. The Arsenal man had an amazing World Cup. The fixtures are not great, but he's a good player. He's a great player. He's on penalties. Okay, Jesus is out. That might negatively impact Arsenal's attack. You can spin that narrative definitely, but Arsenal is top of the league. They're the second best team, third best team, depending on your opinion. But they're here to stay. They're going to have a good second part of the season. They're just playing well. They're playing with confidence. Arteta has completely changed their mentality. They don't crumble like they used to. And I think Bukayo Saka is an excellent option. I think he's going to have a good second part of the season. And yeah, just a great option. Next up, Phil Foden. Now, Phil Foden would be um, on the same level as Saka, even above Saka, if not for the rotation issues, of course. And with the fixture congestion in the next few weeks for Manchester City, I just prefer KDB. If KDB was injured or something, I would definitely put Foden above Saka. But since KDB is here and money isn't as big an issue as it was the previous seasons, I think you just get KDB. Foden, good option. Maybe if you want the midfield double of Foden and KDB, it could work. It could work. Foden could outscore Cancelo in the next few game weeks. He definitely could. That's why I think he's a good option. The fixtures, yeah, the fixtures speak for themselves. The double, the easy games against Everton and Wolves. The only thing I worry about is the rotation, especially during the end of the first part of the season before the World Cup. He was just inexplicably benched and rotated out of the team. Classic Pep, right? But hopefully he keeps his place. He is the golden boy. Pep loves him, and yeah, I think he's going to get a lot of game time. He will miss the odd game in the next few weeks, but he can more than make up for it with his great attacking potential in a team that can win 5-0 against anybody. Mason Mount, definitely a better option than Sterling. I'm still not convinced by Chelsea. Maybe they have improved during this World Cup break, but then again, most of their players weren't with the team, weren't training with Potter. So I don't know. I'm skeptical. The fixtures are great. Bournemouth at home, Forest away, and then a double game week. But the difference between the likes of Mount and the likes of Rashford and Fernandes, for example, is the same thing I talked about with Sterling. The goals are just split in the Graham Potter system. One day it's going to be a center back scoring, the next day it's going to be a wing back, then it's going to be Aubameyang, then it's going to be Sterling, then it's going to be Mount. And the numbers speak for themselves. Mount has only 2 or 3 goals, 2 or 3 assists in this entire season. So yeah, I'm not convinced. I know the fixtures are great, and the same arguments I had about Bruno Fernandes. You just need him for 3 weeks. You get him in, hope he performs. You can get him out. He is the most nailed asset, but I'm just not convinced. I'm not convinced about Chelsea's attack, and yeah, I would rather have some other players, especially since the competition in the midfield places is yeah, it's tight. It's tight. Kulusevski, 8 million, same price as Saka. It's a no-brainer for me to just get Saka. If you want Spurs coverage, as I said with Son, you get Kane. He hogs all the goals and assists anyway. Kulusevski, he's a good player, definitely. He's going to be playing now that Richarlison is out. but I don't know. The points potential isn't there. He might get the odd assist, the odd goal, but can he get a 20-point haul? No, I don't think so. Anthony, I just think if you want to spend up, you go for Bruno Fernandes, and if you want to save some money, you go for Rashford. He's in a weird spot in the middle, like Gross, for example. If you want to get the best Brighton asset, you go for Trossard. If you want to get the cheapest Brighton asset, you go for Mitoma. So yeah, Anthony and Gross are in this weird middle position where I just wouldn't go for them. Honestly, I wouldn't go for them. Madison, injury issues, currently doubtful for the game against Newcastle. The fixtures after Newcastle and Liverpool are decent, definitely, but you're on a wild card. You're not going to get a 8.2 million player and then bench him for 2 weeks. So yeah, he's not an option. In the 6.2 to 7.1 million bracket, now this is where it gets interesting. Miggy Almiron, I mean, he proved us all wrong, didn't he? It's just, yeah, it's hard to let go of your previous biases when evaluating players like Almiron, but he looks like a new man, definitely. It's 5.8. I mean, excellent option. Incredible option at 5.8. Just play him every game. If you want, you can bench him against the likes of Arsenal, but even against the big teams, Newcastle can score. They scored the 3 against Man City. So yeah, they can score against anyone. Almiron, just an excellent option. His place is pretty much secured in the starting 11. His underlying numbers are good. He's playing in a great team. He's cheap. Everything you want in an FPL asset. Martinelli. So Saka light, even though he has overperformed, or rather had a better season so far than Saka in terms of FPL. The fixtures, same as Saka, aren't the best, but he's just a great player. He's a great player in a team gunning for the title. For 6.8 million, great option. Rashford. Now Rashford, he was good at the World Cup. He was good. He seems to have his confidence back. Honestly, I thought that he's just finished. That he's become more of a Instagram guy and social media presence than a footballer. But with Nottingham Forest, Wolves, and Bournemouth, he's a punt I'm willing to take. He's a finisher. He's a midfielder that plays as a forward, basically, or rather as a very advanced winger. Those are the players we want in fantasy. And yeah, at least for 3 weeks, I'm going to give him a chance, see how it goes. Trossard. Maybe if they get a double game week. There's rumors of Brighton getting a double game week in the near future, so if that does happen, he's a good option. He's a good option anyways, honestly. De Zerbi is the kind of manager that just wants goals. And when you got a winger classed as a midfielder in fantasy at 7.1 million in a team that is good, that just good. Brighton have been performing well. They play good football, so why not? 7.1 million isn't too expensive. Of course, when looking at these assets, that's the problem. 5.8, 6.8, 6.7. All arguably better options than Trossard. But Trossard is the type of player that can still score against any team. It was absolutely criminal seeing him rot on the bench for Belgium while the overweight Eden Hazard and and the rest of the Belgian oldies were playing. Disgraceful. But yeah, Odegaard, 6.4 million. Not that much of a difference between him and Martinelli. Although he's a good option. He's added goals to his game this seaon, he's brilliant. I mean, he's a top class player. If we were playing another game and not FPL, I would definitely recommend Odegaard, but Martinelli and Saka are just more direct options than him. And goals count for more points than assists. Therefore, unfortunately, Odegaard falls a bit short in that department. He just hates shooting. He would rather assist than score an open net. Next up, Gross. Talked a bit about Gross. When you have Trossard and when you have Mitoma, he's in that weird space in the middle where I just wouldn't go for him, honestly. If you want the Brighton double up, then maybe. But I don't see a reason to go for a Brighton double up when you have all these great attacking or more direct options, should I say. These wingers slash second forwards even. They spend much more time in the box than Gross does. For a bit more. So, for example, Almiron is 0.2 million more expensive. It's just worth it going for Almiron instead of Gross. Gordon, Paqueta, Ward-Prowse. No, just avoid these players. Gordon, Everton can score. Paqueta, West Ham can score. James Ward-Prowse, he's the ultimate troll. You get him, he does nothing for 5 games, and then he, of course, scores 2 free kicks in the 6th game. So no, he's too unreliable for returns. That's why I prefer assets like Martinelli and Rashford. For example, when they're playing against a weak team that gives them a lot of space to attack, or against a team against which they'll have a lot of the possession, you just know they're going to be in and around the box. Grossi, on the other hand, isn't as direct, doesn't shoot as much, doesn't cross as much, and yeah, there are just better options than him. Sorry, Ward-Prowse, not Gross. Next up is the 4.2 to 5.3 million bracket. Andreas Pereira, 4.6, has a double game week. What's not allowed? Amazing option. If you're going for a 3-4-3, you need to have Pereira. Or if you're going for any variation that plays with 4 midfielders, the 5th midfielder I recommend is definitely Pereira. He's just a good option. Fulham have been incredible from an attacking point of view, at least. So yeah, you can't go wrong with Andreas Pereira for 4.6 million. Next up, Kaoru Mitoma. He seems to have won his place in the Brighton team. He's a very exciting player. He's very quick, direct. Yeah, just a good player. 4.9 million is very cheap for a starting winger in a attacking top 7, top 8 team, let's say, at the end of the season. Yeah, I like him. He's a good differential. Not many people will have him. Leon Bailey, 4.5 million. If you don't want to go for Mitoma or Pereira, Bailey could work out for you. Injury prone, yes. Rotation issues, maybe. Although he has played a lot of games since Emery has come in. But he's just one of those electric direct players that you want. He's got the goal threat, the assist potential. I mean, for 4.5 million, you're risking nothing, basically. Even if he gets injured or gets benched, he's your 5th midfielder. And yeah, good option, I would say, definitely. And the last one is Da Silva at 4.2 million. The only reason to own him, if you desperately need 0.3 million and you can't get Bailey, then you go for Da Silva. The not guaranteed minutes, poor underlying statistics, not a direct enough player, not a player that's likely to be involved in a lot of goals. And if Ivan Toney's ban does come to fruition, he's going to lose his main, or rather, Brentford is going to lose their main goal scorer. So no, it's just he's not a good option. The only thing that's keeping him here and not in the red is the price. 4.2 million, cheapest midfielder I believe in the game currently, and you can get some utility out of him. A couple of points if you go that deep on your bench to your third bench spot. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the midfielders. Thanks for watching and see you guys later.